What would you say is your highest aspiration as a person? Because there's no way to be totally peaceful and totally at home with yourself, totally secure and stable in yourself, unless you know this. If you don't know what your highest aspiration is, then you're divided in your intentions. You're going left and you're also going right at the same time. And going left and going right at the same time would produce struggle. It would produce tension. It would produce confusion and inefficacy, because just there's no traction that's actually being made in any direction. Excuse me, there we go. Got to get the hair in there. Cool. So it's important, the first order of business really, in order to come into complete wholeness, both like peace within and also effectiveness on the level of your life and, in the physical world. The first most important question, it seems, is what is your highest aspiration? So I would invite you even right now to ask yourself that. What is it? What is it that you want? What is it that you want the most? And then, I recommend you do this now. So you ask this, and then the next question would be, what comes next? What comes after that? So I want this so that I can get X, Y, and Z, or so that I can whatever. It might be like, I want a whole bunch of money so that I can travel or get a home or what have you. And then the next question would be, well, why do I want that? And so you'd ask that question, why do I want this? What would that give me? All right. And what would be the best part about that? And why is that the best part? And really see if you can keep going in this question, going increasingly meta until you just kind of hit the end of it, where it's just like, you'd hit the end when you can't even really ask the question anymore. It's just like, I want it because it's just what I want. It's what I want. It's what I'm going for. And when you hit this point, what's interesting is that usually it's a feeling that you're after at the very end. You're arranging all of your life circumstances so that you can get to this feeling. And that feeling, sometimes people would respond with freedom. Some people would respond with liberation. Some people would say, peace, wholeness. I would finally be complete. Fulfillment. I would be fulfilled, successful. Words like these. And what's kind of interesting about this is that when you really inquire into that feeling that is being sought, whether it's success, fulfillment, or what have you, we all actually end up describing the same state. And what state is that? Well, again, it depends on the word that you choose, but my word is wellness. Wellness. Just a feeling of wellness. Just a feeling of being totally on point. There's nothing else that's required, nothing else that is needed. That everything that comes to me, is just a blessing, is just a benefit, is just a plus one, a value add. That all of my days from henceforth are just plus ones, like, oh, it's another day, I get more of this, I can do this, I can do this. But it's like vacation. It's like, if you remember being in school, you remember being, going to class all the time, and usually as the semester comes to a close, I'd be referring to, say college, university, or high school, where the semester comes to a close and you have exams and it's crunch, 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 and then you make it through, hopefully you pass, and then it's summertime. And it's yours. Your time is yours now. It's like, what am I going to do with all this free extra time? That is to be from a place of wellness, where there's no tension, there's no negativity. We've accomplished the goal. What now? So from thenceforth, I will refer to this as wellness. And as I mentioned in a previous video, which I believe is called Unconditional Wellness, I think, I went into this lesson about how, wellness wellness is available to you always now, but is only obscured from you if you have decided that you can't be well until a condition is met. such as like I can't be well until I have enough money or enough friends or have a relationship, you know, or what have you. So in this video, it will be similar, but I want to speak to you on the subject of conflict. And I want to speak to you on the subject of good and evil, or good and bad, and the possibility of stepping beyond it. In spiritual circles, they refer to this as duality, like the world of duality or the non-dual world. And it seems to me that this is the final step into wellness. This is what is required to make that final leap into accessing full wellness right now. So I want to begin by asking you, what are you against? Please think about this while I sip water from my enormous water canister. Yes, the answer to your question is 1.1 liters. It's a mammoth. So, question is, what is it that you're against? So the interesting thing about being against something is that this typically flies under everybody's radar. But if you look at it very honestly, and if you really sincerely look inside of yourself right now, it's very likely that you would discover that you are against something. That even in this moment now, where arguably nothing's wrong, you're just kind of, you know, sitting wherever you are and everything's great, everything's, you know, kind of peaceful and quite still, quite quiet and stable, that you are nevertheless holding tension in your body and holding negativity in your mental and emotional self against something. So it could be against something that happened in the past, either to you or someone else. Could be against the existence of something that is occurring right now, something that might occur in the future, and that would be anxiety or worry. You might be against the existence of some sort of point of view or perspective that you believe should not exist, such as, you know, left or right leaning type thought. You know, the existence of a particular religion or tribe, although I really suspect that if you are listening to this video, if you're here with me now, I'm quite sure you've already moved beyond, you know, that kind of prejudice. But you may, for example, believe that, you know, yeah, certain ideas should not be thought or spoke or whatever, and that these thoughts or ideas should be eradicated. Now here's the thing about that. Oh, and actually I want to include to that list things that we could commonly agree about, say certain crimes that are committed or certain diseases that are out there, say malaria, you might be against malaria. And so, it can get tricky because you are very justified. You are 100% justified and validated in your conflict to be, being against these things that, quite understandably cause all this strife and turmoil and badness in the world. Sometimes I make videos and I watch these videos back afterwards and I notice my breathing is shallow. So I'm focusing on a more level breathing. So that's another thing that'll be occurring, you may notice. But there's a little distinction to be made here if you are, for whatever it is that you're against. Because if you've set up your psychology in such a way that you cannot or will not be well or okay until the problem is eradicated or solved in some way, then what has happened is you've placed a condition on your own wellness. And what that means is that you've affirmed that you cannot be well until the condition is met, until there's triumph or until there's victory. And if that is so, then it means that you cannot be well now. Very importantly, you can't be your most effective self unless you are completely well. You cannot access your deepest creativity, nor your deepest power as an individual unless you access your deep wellspring of wellness that is available to you right now. If you've made up your mind that you can't be well until the condition is met, then not only are you not well now, but there will be a sense of desperation in what you're doing. There will be a sense of toil. There will be a sense of effort. It will be struggle. You will be engaged in struggle as you are trying to achieve that goal, whether it's political, medical, or personal. So therefore, what I want to invite you to do is drop your struggle right now. And so it's interesting, as you're listening to this, if you're engaging with me in this video, then you might notice that there's actually a little bit of resistance that might come up with you. There might be like, this sounds kind of good in theory, but no. It's because when there's struggle, we also invest the sense of value, of importance in struggle. And we believe that if we relent in our struggle, even for a minute, even for just a breath or a handful of breaths, if we let go of struggle, then it's like the badness will kind of close in on itself, as if the struggle that we hold prevents the walls from caving in or prevents, bad things from happening, which I think we can be in agreement. That's not the case. That's actually quite false. You're free to let go of struggle right now. Even at the end of this video, you can pick it back up again and it's not going to go anywhere. But I want to suggest that if you were willing to release your sense of struggle right now, then you would allow yourself to taste the wellness that's available for you now. And I believe that it would be so good that you might actually be inclined to align yourself with it. And the sense of struggle, which strangely enough has its own kind of rudimentary consciousness to it, knows this and feels threatened by you accessing your wellness now, and therefore says things like, well, if we access wellness now, how do we know this will get done? How can we fight evil? How can good fight evil? How can we overcome the bad? How can we fight away X, Y, and Z? And then when it would come up with all these really valid arguments for why the fight should be continued. And so I guess part of this video, one of the main messages that I hope to convey is that you're free to trust that you're better off without struggle. You're free to know that you don't require struggle, that you don't require it, that the world does not require struggle, that struggle itself is an addiction like any other addiction. It can beget more of itself, and it has a sort of a rhetoric that has its own sort of appeal to it. There's kind of another word for it that may surface that I'm looking for, but it's like, it's like when you're kind of toiling and there's sweat on your brow, or there's like rain on your face, and you're pulling this boulder uphill. It's like, oh, but I'm going to do this for the good of blank, blank, blank. There's this kind of self-congratulatory, that's the word, kind of thing. But it's false, because your deepest contribution to yourself, your family, your community, to the world is your peace, more so than your struggle. There can be some, and it's not to discount, there can be some contribution. Like if you're struggling, making sure that every child gets educated, and it's like you're fighting ignorance or whatever, and you're making sure every kid gets a book, there is benefit. So it's not like you totally discount all of it. But if you were to do exactly that from a place of peace, oh boy, oh shit, it gets way, way, way better when there's lightness to it, and humor and laughter and a sense of play, as opposed to like seriousness. Much, much better. And you'll find that you're met with less difficulty. It's like you don't have to subtly request that the weather throw more hail and sleet on your face in order to kind of make your struggle more struggly. You know, it can go the other way. You can have the wind at your back. That's an option that you have too, but you must surrender struggle, because you cannot both receive what you're asking for and ask for struggle, or, you know, slash, you cannot receive what you're asking for and struggle for it. You can only really either struggle or receive. And I recommend receiving much better. So I want to really bring you through this now. If you're down for it, I want you to actually experience this now, so that it's not just a theoretical thing. So if you could just think of something right now, we'll give you a moment, that you're against. What is it that you're against? What is it that is just not okay? Can you bring that into your consciousness? And you can use a light example if it's like a parking ticket or whatever. You don't have to go for the gold right now. You can just kind of play with this, just kind of experiment with it. What is something you're against? And would you repeat after me as you think about this? Okay. It is as it is. I hereby allow it to be as it is. I hereby relinquish all argument with this event. I hereby relax my againstness for now. I'm willing to let this be as it is. I'm willing to let myself be as I am. I'm willing to allow this quality of myself to be as it is, without trying to change it. I hereby relax my fight with this thing. I'm willing to appreciate an aspect of this thing. I'm willing to learn how to appreciate this thing. It is my desire to experience my fullest wellness now. I hereby relinquish all value that I place on that which obstructs my wellness now. I hereby transfer my value to my wellness. Cool. How does that feel? Hopefully it feels lighter. Hopefully it feels kind of good. Hopefully your body has actually just kind of relaxed a little bit to it. It's because just from the most objective standpoint, your whole, like your body, everything that you are is constantly moving towards wellness and is impeded only by your belief system not allowing it to be, not allowing it to blossom fully. And if you were to do it, which kind of feels like floating down the river, like just kind of, moving with the tide of things, you'll find everything will just work more in your favor. You'll find life stops kind of closing up on you. You know how sometimes you get this feeling of going through life and it's like the door closes just as you kind of try to get to it and it's locked. You'll find doors opening for you, and you'll find finally that which you've been asking for perhaps so long, finally starting to come to you. And as a final note here in this video, relax around the temptation that once it does start to come into your life, which it will, relax the temptation to grip around it. Continue to relax even further and allow it to come fully into your life. I think as you do, I think you'll really enjoy it. I think you'll really be into it. Cool. So there we go. So that's the video. Move past conflict, move beyond conflict, move beyond duality, still acting. I hope I've made that clear. Still acting and doing good things in the world, but not with a sense of desperation or need invested in it. I think you'll love it. Cool. I am a personal coach. I am a mental wellness coach. If it's your desire to have this applied to you in a private one-on-one session, please head over to my website. You can have your first session for $1. It is an excellent deal, and I think everybody should take advantage of it. I'll catch you later. Take care. Bye.